Hello, it's Joyful Christian Hermit. Time to do a little recap of some things going on in the gardens here. Lots of changes just in about 4 days' time. And I'm in such a better mode. Even the physical therapist couldn't believe it. And that's just how God works. Once we catch on and learn something, I would never have thought that that word that came to me about 5 days ago, maybe it's been 4 days, I don't know, 5 days, transition. And then I'll wait and see the transformation. Maybe part of it is just coming through it all so in such a positive way. And understanding what God wants of me and wants of me for others, even the respect of others who aren't where I am and who are bothered by me, or who association with me brings back hurt to them, or negative feelings, or bad memories, or who knows what. Their perceptions. Sometimes the loving thing is to remove oneself out of love and respect for others. Not only to be respected by ourselves. It's like plants, you know. If they don't do well in one location, it's either not going to go well at all, or we move them. We change locations, change positions, or watering patterns, or maybe the plant just isn't going to make it. Might have something wrong, and we have to let it go. So, I've just been recognizing the aspect of the other that disrespects us, yes, but they're doing so because they are giving signals to us that they don't want, that they are reminded, or it's too painful, or they're not ready. They aren't ready to understand that they can enjoy and appreciate someone who's different than they are. Not everybody is that open to all different types, as far as wanting to be friends with them, even if it's a family member. So we have to take in consideration other people, but most of all God. It's disrespectful of us to God if we let other people mistreat us because they don't understand. They are mistreating what God created in us and expects of us, our little vocations, our little place on earth, and why he has us here. And that may change, or maybe like with my couple of my kids, my job, I was sent back to rear them, and I did. And maybe God didn't want anything longer. Or, I mean, he would have allowed it, but they couldn't, or didn't want, or need, or I did something that they can't forgive, or my personality, or just like the daughter that does speak to me was not respectful when I was sharing about transitions. But now I know that's a condition. If she can't handle that kind of conversation and that aspect of me, I will if I want to keep that relationship, I will have to remain a listener and move into her world and not share my world, even though it might be helpful to her. She does not want it, obviously. So we have to figure these things out. And if I would persist, knowing, because she's given me very verbal signal, then then I should remove myself if I can't do what is helpful. So I wouldn't be respecting her and where she is. So it's all good, these transitions, but this one has been the most painful since my divorce. But that one was good too. It got me away from what I thought I should stay with for my vows, wedding vows, that it was ultimately going to be terrible for all of us. So Ari had started the These dogs are roughhousing. I had to get over, they love doing this. They aren't even sounding as horrible. Usually they can even growl and snarl. And Mercy developed how to snort. And makes this awful sound that sounds very scary, even though she's small. And Lovey gets real big and all over her and grabs at her neck. And if they do it at the dog park, oh my, people think they're killing each other because they get really loud too if they're carrying on. But they start doing it like on the driveway when I was over on the drive and I had to get over in the grass, or I mean, I could end up being more damaged but not dead. That's my main concern, is I'll get more damaged but won't die yet. So we don't want that. We don't want more pain unnecessarily. So this little bleeding heart, the little bleeding heart is getting ready to bloom. And there it is back there already, a couple of them. And I'm still trying to remember the name of these flowers. Oh, and it's a Mary flower. I also am claiming for God and myself that this transition, I think I've gotten to the heart of it today, is being marked by the new Pope being announced today, being voted on today. It's going to be a touchstone for me to always remember this day. I don't know if I gave the video of this. This is an Acer macrophylum, a different form of of maple. Acer, look at that bark. See, bark is interesting. The fissures in this bark. Smooth, but then eventually when it ages, it gets these big fissures in it. Fissures. These leaves started, let me see if I can find any of the buds still. Well, here's a few little ones, how they start out. Hold it still so it'll focus on it. And then they start to unfold and get, these leaves will be enormous eventually, enormous. They're the kind that do not disintegrate necessarily. They will, they get very fine and disintegrate eventually, but you can literally just pick them up like pieces of paper. They get so big. So they're not a hindrance to other people. They usually just hang around here, and I either, get them up with the lawnmower, sucking them up, or that was that spot here. Maybe you can see it better here. That just the colors, Mocha Rose. It's called Mocha Rose, and it will darken in the summer, and in the fall, it's more the mocha color, the coffee, cocoa looking. Isn't it beautiful? And it, with the leaves big on it, it will fill in. I was going to show, these, oh my goodness. These Climatus, this is the one I got to put over the trellis too. Are those, and when I have my darker color paint, this darker, rather than the pale sage, the bluish greenish pale sage will be covered over by this anonymous color, this darker. And so these will really stand out on this, these Climatus. I got two the same, even, to have sort of this whole corner just be brightened up by those huge, beautiful white blooms. These are the second year for these to be in. This one isn't growing as full, but once I get this special fertilizer on it, they will really take off a lot. This flame, phantom flame, is still looking very nice. Mercy's getting cozy down there. Doggies, I just worry about you getting back in here around some of these. I don't want phantom flame broken off. Thank you, pups. You're good. You're good. Look at the growth on this. This is going to be another one of those softer furs. Let me find the tag. They're just messing with the cardboard. Oh, we don't want to get this tangled up, babies. Yeah, we gotta be careful. The little plants, they're tender, they're gentle, they're little babies. Treat them like little dogs. Oh, Mrs. Cesarini. It is a Picea pungens. Picea pungens. Mrs. Cesarini. There's going to be a blooming anemone. And this thing here is another one of those geums, avens. This is St. John Paul II rose, white and very fragrant. So, oh, back here, the weeping golden fig is starting to leaf out now. Look at some of these little buds here that fine. Here's one here. Doggies, Lovey, tangling. Be very gentle. Gentle babies back here, Lovey. He knows that with dogs. Gentle and baby to be here. So just starting to leaf out. Before this, it looked dead. I mean, it had like that, no leaves at all, no even bulges. Maybe more like that, or even less bulge. Here we've got reversion down here. Usually I've started bringing clippers out. We're sorry to move the phone around, but I'm trying to keep them from tearing down trees. This is really coming in nicely too. This will stay very light and pale. That's why it's back in here. But this will all have the darker anonymous paint. And I don't know if my grandson will come again now, because I had to send him a text today explaining about respect and that I must maintain that I am respected, and of course I will respect others, but that I had a right to talk a few minutes with the tile man this morning. I didn't put it quite that harshly, but I do. Yeah, first ghost is coming out. Well, Ruth's red, my mom's tree. This is my little prayer area, meditation garden, and I have a little red bench that goes right in here where this open space, sort of can hide back in here, because this John Paul II rose will get tall. But here's another. I think this is more of a purple colored clematis. It's not doing so well with more leafing out at the bottom. I could practically put another clematis there, and I might intermingle too, but we'll see. The top part's doing okay. Doesn't have buds, a couple buds in there, but not big ones, so we'll see what that one does. It might need to be switched with something that can handle more shade back here. This is that other Aurea, and it's a fir, the very soft kind that needs protection back in there. It's supposed to have more gold to it, light to it, but maybe not enough sun, but you can't have too much sun. That particular kind does not want a lot of sun, so it might not have been just the strongest cultivar to begin with of an Aurea. You know, as yellow as it should have been. What else do we want to have a look at around here? This phlox is coming up. Well, here's another dianthus. It's going to be huge. The dianthus I had in front broke off. It should have been staked by the nursery, but I won't push the point with them. This jashishi this is the lion's head maple. Look at those little leaves. They're all crinkly and small. And this stays fairly dense. This is a looser one than normal. And I sort of like it that way, and I might prune more out and keep it dense, but let me get my phone situated on something so you can look at those little leaves. And here's some with the new growth, a little flush of pink on them. Lion's head, Japanese maple, because eventually it will sort of grow into a form of looking like a lion's head with its mane. That's where they go. This I have to move. This is not getting enough water or something, this little hemlock here. I'm going to try it over in the courtyard, which has plenty of moisture. And then I have room back here though for something that can use shade. I can still cut off a lot of these branches. My line goes over to here. I could still, if I could get the tree trimmer here, he could cut some of those up off, but only so much to deal with neighbors. I don't, that's the guy. He waved to me and I just automatically waved back, which was probably the right thing to do, but he better not speak or try to interact. The naughty one. This just sucks. See, this I had to clip off. I had to take dead off. It had a whole bunch of dead, this fireball, but it's really coming through. They like the dead. This will have bright gold roses on it. Here's a nice little conifer. I told my grandson what we're going to do out here by the sidewalk is dig a foot and a half all the way across, intermingle pavers. I have a bunch of different kinds of succulents to put out there. And we'll put some of the little tiny miniature conifers, just dot the, make it a varied thing. Because that always goes dead. They had bushes here all across the front. Red, green, red, green, red, green, all the way up in the front. They really liked red and green. Interior, red and green carpet. It was the Christmas house. But now here's this. This is a, I forget, I think the tag is down in there still, but it will get whitish, pinkish fronds on it eventually. It's just not showing up there. I may leave it there if I can get another delphinium planted here. I have one I need to move in this spot where the stake is here to bring some light in here. And then I can put something else over in here, I'm not sure what. Something with some color to it, maybe another perennial flower. I am thinking up there under the window to the right, but before Aoi, the Japanese maple there. I guess I've been holding my phone different directions, so it's going to be all a goofy video again. I'm thinking of a rose, a small rose, but scented, highly scented, so I can open up that slider and get, that might be a nice touch of color there, just some brilliant color, coral or even something on with lavender in it, but light and bright. Because I have lavender planted in the center, but I need something to fill in that right corner to bring some height up. It won't look good in the winter, the rose won't, but in the spring, summer, and fall, how wonderful would that be? Come on along, doggies. We're gonna walk over here. No, we're not gonna, you got a piece of that hose from somewhere, took it off from where it was protecting something. To find out what. I wanna show you over here what's happened. I put Emperor 1 here. My grandson thought I needed some height and something red down here. So here's this one, and it was very loose. It had not much going on down here, and I think I'm going to keep it. I might train it so that these branches practically come together as a trunk. We'll see what I do with it, and then just leave it more growing at the top. Leave that little thing down at the bottom of it. But it's hard to find things that can take full sun here. The heat of it. A red, so that one works. Shayna works, you see. This is the Philip's Golden Tears. I planted it here, and I've got it tie up. I get the stake hooked on there better, my taller stake, and start tying it up because it's going to start growing. Put that there, and it will have a cape at the bottom, maybe up to 2 feet, but the rest of it's going to be a foot or less. I'm going to leave Frankie Boy here. That's another thuja, and just it'll camouflage the pipes there. I've been digging up strawberries that had just grown loose. They came from the back where I had moved this hosta. It was an original here with the house, so I may sell some of these hostas or just leave them in there. Depends. And they're okay for now, but I don't want this to get too full other than with something that adds some color. But these do, but it depends on how. They were great last year, but I hadn't put in this yet. In fact, and I had the tree that was up on a standard and then weeped around, looked like an umbrella, the green falls, and it died. So this is this maple that comes from like practically Paleolithic times. See how big these leaves are getting now, and they've come out all the way up. Isn't that funky? Has one sticking out at the bottom. I don't mind a cape at the bottom. Now, Mercy and Lovey, I cut those big hunk of cannas in half, and here's this part. We'll see if they come to and revive and grow. They've been overwintered. Come on, pups. Here we go. Shayna, I want to get some string or something and get some of these branches in the center tied in a little bit better. Give it some symmetry, but I don't mind the arms sticking out at the bottom and the openness of it. Don't want it solid, but I don't want it just being a hole in the middle too much. Get it straightened up, maybe one of these my tall stakes, and get a center leader going. I transferred this from the back. This is Cedrus. What kind of Cedrus is this? I might have to lift it up a little bit. Might be planted a little low. Trevon. Cedrus brevifolia trevoron. Needs to be staked. Very, very slow grower. But it's just going to be more sparse. My neighbors bought the Picea omerica that was there, but that was not a Pendula bruns, because it was big and bushy. Actually, I had it planted in that spot there where I had the rest of the cannas growing. And this is a geum. I remember the name of this geum. The one over here is going to be red, a bright orange red, deep red, or not a deep red, but an orange red. Here, Mercy, come on out, honey. Come on, baby. Good girl, good girl. There's the Joseph's beard. Down under there is, I'm going to stake up the branches that are growing over it, because it's going to have a white beard come out. Fronds are going to come out. These are doing well. I put Newton Century here, right here. That will stay very narrow and can get taller, of course, but my grandson sort of liked a little touch of red, and I got to stake it. It's leaning. I planted another one of those Guernsey Cream Climatus there. It's the ones with the big white blooms, because something that will really show. This has purple blooms on it. Will be very pretty as a counter to it. And if it gets bushy and healthy enough, it can help grow up over the trellis. So that's what's been happening here. Here's a little rose here. It said scented. I think it said even highly scented, but it's not. You can't trust the labels. I have to do the research first. But I got it at Costco. Had two together. There's another one in back. And it has oranges and reds, and with little white ruffles. So it's a pretty touch of color there. I'll leave it there. But for the front, I want to get something highly scented, maybe more of a tea rose size. Lovey, get away from the stuff. Nope. Nothing in here for you to have. Nope. These are getting things watered back here. One spinach that overwintered is coming up. Lovey, please don't pull me. I got my hands behind me. Hands behind me. I let these things slow drip. So we'll get this moved down and start it back on these. Back here, babies. Back here. We're going to let this water in here. It's just been very hot and dry. So I need to keep these things watered. I have a black plastic piping with little grommets and then tubes that I will set up once I get even more done. I've tightened this up with some string. That thuja, John tar. It's a type of a thuja, but it's called John tar. It's more feathery than most. It's interesting, I think. I got that for very little, 75% off, and it looked awful when I got it. But it's sort of, bare in places, but that's just the style of it. And I don't mind. It's just a nice touch of color in the winter back there. Mercy, come here, honey. Of course, they put the, is that the cable line, I think, right there? Or, no, I think it might be power. And I nicked it, so I had to get out my electric tape, and I want to also add duct tape around those spots that have those marked with the pavers and opened up. And here's a bunch of strawberries that I'm going to put in little pots and see if I can sell those. And that's the clematis that had been up front that I'm going to plant here on this side and have it grow up and over this arbor and do some pruning on Hupp's dwarf to get that contained more upright, more narrow, and but have it grow, eventually seem as if it's growing up over the trellis from the right to the left. Come on, pups. Come on. This is getting good. Good new leafing out on this. Ooh, that broke. Branch broke there. Must have been wind or I don't know what. I'll have to clip that. See how this full moon, Acer shirwasawanum. Acer shirwasawanum is this type of leaf. And this is, still has its flushes on it. And that's a bit full. I should get in and clean it up. You know, I've got plenty to do here, that's for sure. I will be kept going. I can just come out. It doesn't really at this point matter what I do as long as I do something. This is, now you can see this Acer here, Eskimo Sunset. See how the green leaves have started to speckle. These will speckle more. They'll be more and more like this. And then the underside, let's see if they've started to go dark yet. Nope, not yet. It's amazing. Transitions. Trees have transitions, some of them more so than others. This one definitely. Then, after it's all done transitioning, it will be transformed into what wasn't at all like it before. Lovey sees something. I just don't want him to bolt and take me with him. He is a dog after all, I remind myself. Some guy online is a comedian and he talks about golden doodles and he always says, well, you know they're human. They're human. And okay, this guy needs to be, isn't this a beautiful Japanese maple here? Pretty, sort of crinkled. These are linobarium leaves. They're not dissectums, but close. I am tangled once again, my babies, but I want them to feel free to walk around with abandon, but just as long as they, oh, Mercy came out and untangled me. She's so sweet. I'm convinced she knows exactly what I'm saying. This one is, Mercy, honey, trying to read the tag. Mizuzuki. And this I think is going to have a couple more leaves. I don't mind some blank spaces on the, here's this little rare thing back here that I was sure Lily, the neighbor's dog, had totaled when she was ringing the tree with the squirrels taunting her terribly. Carnival hedge maple. And it's very, very slow growing. I like it. Isn't it pretty? And my neighbor loves it, so I planted it there under some shade so she could enjoy it. I trimmed down, this is Sanyo no Mato, Lonely Man it's called. So there's that. It's got sort of purple and green leaves that I had to clip a lot off the top. That happens, and then it'll grow, and then you just work with what's new on it. Here's one. I'm trying to figure out where to put this. This will get larger, but the colors in the fall will be brilliant oranges, flushes of gold and orange and red. So when I saw this little 1 gallon thing, I thought, worth to play with that. And then if I have to trade, my body goes and I have to trade with the daughter's townhome. I have plenty of things I can plant there to create a screen across the back. So I've got another little conifer, tiny one that will be bright gold in the winter. Moseri, a Scotch pine. I'm thinking of putting it right back in here, a little bit to the back, either that or right up toward the front. I put more cannas down in here and I can move them elsewhere. But I want to see that bright touch of gold in the winter back here. The green, you know, the roses will be done, but Church Street steeple will be growing there, green. There'll be bits of green down in here, evergreen. Well, that's a hunk of lavender there. There's a little evergreen, and I have another evergreen I can put here. Or I could actually put the gold right in here. But I think right there, see it from the kitchen, see it from the eating area. I don't sit to eat. I don't have any table there. My clothes rack there. From the kitchen, eventually the dining room for whoever eats in the dining room. Right now it's got sawhorses in it and doors on it that are being painted. Or it can be seen from the bedroom. So I think that's a good spot right here for the gold. Because I moved gold down there. I put Goldilocks down there. I still have to plant Goldilocks down here. But I have to cut some big roots from that. I have to bring out my reciprocating. So get that cut. This is what I put this Cedrus Gold Horizon back here. Eventually that will get tall, take a while, and it will brighten up into a gold right behind Banshosho green. So interesting, isn't it? I'm just so grateful for horticulturalists who have developed these things. There's where Goldilocks is going to be, right there. Well, over a little bit to the left, not much, and back a little bit. You can see it right from the bedroom. And I put Jesus here. He needs to be painted. Doesn't have to be, but he's here. I can see him right out my window all the time, which I like. And still trying to decide about St. Joseph. Well, it's Chief Joseph, but I call St. Joseph. He's already turning green over there, but I've cleaned out dead needles, so he's looking nice and looking healthy. Look at all that growth on the top. I don't mind if he gets taller. I just don't want him to get wide. I planted over here Angel Falls. It might be too wet. I planted it up high. And behind it I put Aka Shigitsatsu Kawa. A little Japanese maple there. It's tiny now. It'll get big, but it has a great form to it. A very Japanesey looking form. That little Japanese maple tucked behind here. And it will fill in and be a backdrop to Angel Falls. Sort of the reverse. Angel Falls will remain very narrow, a foot or so with a cape at the bottom, and long needles. And look at how it grows. It's going to be a fast grower. And I've looked down there at Twisted Sister, and it has like a 1.5 foot growth already, and it isn't even finished. I'm going to call the tree guy and see about getting this tree out now, this summer or fall, or as soon as he wants to, because I think I need to get Twisted Sister moved over before it gets too big to be moved, for me to move anyway. I want to make sure it's going to be safe to move it, not get too big and struggle more. Better to plant trees when they're smaller. So we'll walk back around. This thing really loves it here. Look how that thing is just gone all over. That was a tiny little thing 6 years ago. And this is just exploding. This is a dissecting. This is a tiny thing leaf. Just beautiful. They'll be fun little, oops, a weed here. Just see how the weed just tries to camouflage itself. I think I'll have to bring out something to dig this out. Yeah, I cut it off, but there's a weed there. It looked just like the plant, or nearly so. And Perry's Golden's looking good this year. So he gets to stay. Aren't you lucky, Perry? This is beautiful too. Just see how these things look. I read this anonymous paint just makes landscaping really, really shine, or stand out, and it does, compared to this I don't know what kind, bluish, pale bluish green is sage. It's not a natural color for nature. You don't find you can't tell from my phone, but looking at it, it's very, very a fake blue for nature, for leaves and things. You just don't, it's not. So, anonymous is more of a nature color. Come on, Mercy, you tangle. You're tangled now. You're tangled. Here, honey, come on. We'll go back around. It's looking good. Bayou's looking good. I gotta get my ties out here. Let's look at these leaves here, see how they've changed. There's the newer growth in here. If you can see, it's lighter green. It's shaded though, just like some protection from the sun. This one's just doing great here. Look at the dark bark. Maroon, wine red bark. Fascinating. Look at that right here going down. Okay, but yeah, it's been really a major week, and I'm finishing up with my thoughts on transitions, and then the transformation will come. I think I've mentioned already that Carol suggests it might be that I won't have the memories, but I know I won't when I'm dead, because, oh, look at these. This is really growing nicely here. That's all new growth. Isn't it just fun? These are fun. This is all very soft. This Picea Abies aureum is, a lot of people wouldn't buy something like this. They, oh no, but look at the beauty of it, and the interest, and what else can you do for something like that, to have that? You could get a little, if you could find one. I haven't seen any except this. This was last year that I saw this and thought, go for it. And today, I don't know if I mentioned this in my other video, but I made a contract or a bond with God with this man who did the tiling, and I took some of my parents' money and gave it to him and explained to him what I was doing and what today meant to me, and a bit about my week and transitions, just brief, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Thanked him for telling me about his grandmother and sharing, and I thanked him for accepting me and talking with me, just a total of 10 minutes. I said, you did so much for my day, and maybe I did even a little for yours. Listening to the life of your grandmother and knowing how it was, because I can relate, even down to the pump in my gut. She had a pump, and terrible back pain, and far more surgeries than I've had. So it was just lovely. And then my grandson tattled on me and texted his mother, and I get this, even while the man was there and we were talking, this message from her, and that's the kind of thing I wrote back to both of them and explained. Respect. That God wants me to respect myself because I have not been respecting God. And that I must make sure that others respect, especially if I'm not doing anything wrong. The man was working, he was just getting started, but he was then talking while he was scraping with the scraper. And it wasn't just me talking. I was not talking his ear off. and I didn't mind, except I just knew. See, this is what happens. My grandson has been trained, and that's what he has seen since he was 6 years old when I went to the island. His dad, in particular, criticizing me and bad-mouthing me, calling me crazy. So, and things like that. So that he knows that my daughter, his mother, does not like, there's aspects of me she does not like, but she's trying to train me out of it. See, she's trying to make me different, how more acceptable to others. And I realize how I am is not bad to others. To some, yes. To some who are critical of people or can't tolerate anyone who's spiritual or gets excited about other things besides the temporal world. But I can get excited about the temporal world. I'm able to listen to all that. Not my favorite, but I certainly wouldn't be rude to someone if they were talking about something temporal and I didn't want to hear it. You know, just we have to start setting some boundaries, or be willing to live under other person's conditions, and then it's a one-way relationship. And then we have to not be ourselves and not contribute. So it's sort of a decision. So, and this daughter wasn't being rude today or anything. She just worries. And I think she worries how other people will take me. And not necessarily how to reflect on her, unless it's something like leaving a comment on her social media. She doesn't want her career affected. But it hurts her to hear people say things about her mother. You know, how weird, how awful, when she knows I'm not. So it's a fine line. So I have to consider what's loving and charitable and respectful of her. So see, this is what God wanted me to start learning. He's tried and tried for years, but it took major suffering, major wake up for me to face it and to accept and also to understand this is a transition that I need. God wants me to do this. Because I'm not respecting God when I don't respect that He's created me as He has. Okay, this is getting too tight. I got to get my knife out here. If I can get this off of here. It's just cutting into this too much, this little white band. They really should find a different way to do with trees. You shouldn't put tight bands on them and stuff. It hurts them eventually. You can cut them right off. It's like putting a tourniquet on a person and leaving it and stapling it on so it doesn't come off as it grows. See, if it's okay to put it on when they're young and you want them to grow a certain way, but it should be able to just snap off and not be stapled on. So, but here I am, the know-it-all. I'm not, but I see the outcome. And but that's how changes get made, is when someone sees something and then they make a suggestion. They're not necessarily being rude. My daughter isn't when she was saying those things to me. She didn't mean to hurt. She didn't want to. But truth is always better. But in the case of me spending 10 minutes while a man's getting his gear out and telling me about his grandmother, but I went back and I made a bond to God and gave him a donation, because people like him, with their honest prices, with others getting twice or 3 times as much, who are just taking advantage of people who don't know what a fair price is, they need to be rewarded. And he is so holy and such a good soul. I said, I'm making a donation to you to keep doing what you're doing and living as you're living, rearing your children, loving God, loving your wife, married 25 years, and married at 19, a woman that he met at his dad's a minister. So he told me a lot about him in a short period of time. And as I explained to my grandson, it's he, in 10 minutes' time, we don't know the value of that. But what that did for me, his kindness, his sharing, and understanding my pain because of his grandmother, who is about my age now when she died. And I understand him and his bond with his grandmother. I mentioned that to my grandson, what a bond he had with his grandmother. I hope for that with my grandson. So we'll see if he still comes tomorrow, because it's a taboo that I'm not to express things or talk about things. And it was a longer text, and I said, I know this is long. You all don't like long texts. It's not what the world does. I didn't say that, but this is my explanation. The world has this set rule. Texting has to be like 3 or 5 words. And if you need to express something that's a thought or more involved, you can't do it in 3 to 5 words. And if they're not going to listen, so I do a text, I risk it. If they want to read it, fine. I'll say this is long, you don't need to read it. And so that's their option. But I rarely text anything long, but this was important because this involved my explaining to him that my transition is all about God teaching me that I am to respect God for how he made me as I am, and to make sure others respect me, or it's fine that they break off, like his aunt and uncle. If they don't like me, we have to respect other people and understand they have a reason for it. And it may be valid for them. So not everybody can accept different people or a variety of people. Or there's something negative that cloys in their minds about them. That idiosyncrasies can happen even. I know someone who's so bothered by her mother, or had been, and just idiosyncrasies was all it was. And the way she'd sniffle or being proud, she's proud, that really bothered. And to the point of hurting the relationship, the one person couldn't overlook the idiosyncrasies, but worked on it and has done it. So to that person's credit. But it hasn't been easy, but it's worthwhile to do that, I think. To learn to respect others. Like if the HOA men could learn to respect that I can't, like today, I already had to drive and didn't get good sleep better sleep last night though, but I'm still catching up. So today has been one of taking it easy, but when it gets cool, the sun isn't as hot, I have still a couple or 3 things to plant. And then tomorrow, hopefully, I can take the rest back to the nursery, get a refund. Maybe if there's a very scented little tea rose or small scale rose, maybe, I don't know, I guess I could train it to go up the side of that front part of the house. Little rose strand going up would be rather pretty, wouldn't it? So, it's coming along. It's been tough, but when we make the breakthrough with what God wants of us with the transition, it is amazing. And I told the physical therapist, because he says, wow, you are in such a different place than you were just 2 days ago. I was so on the verge of like breaking down 2 days ago when I went to physical therapy. And I said, yes, I said, even just coming here, I realized people think they would love a mystical experience, just love a mystical experience. Wouldn't that be great? I said, as painful as this has been, and at times feeling like I wouldn't make it through it, that I would collapse or have a breakdown or something, it's just so upset and sad. But I said, this has been much more wonderful for the understanding I have and knowing what God wants of me, which he's been trying to get through to me for years. And even if, to stop wishing I had been otherwise. I'm not, he didn't want me otherwise. And to feel very honored how he wanted me. The same as people who should feel honored that God destined them to interact in the temporal world. That's an honor. So, but no, a mystical phenomenon compared to this transition is nothing to really ever, oh, I so want that, or wouldn't that be great? They're gone in a flash. And this is lasting. This is transitional and now transforming me. We'll see how it transforms. God bless his real presence in us, and thanks for all your prayers. Thanks for the comments. Keep them coming. There, every single one has worth and excellent points, because other people can read your comments and grow from them and share your experiences or your insights, and it becomes a living transition for all of us. Bye for now.